Hey everyone, today we're going to tackle a concept that's totally changing how organizations look at their information, the big data fabric. It's a really powerful idea, so let's just dive right in.
Okay, so think about it for a second. Most companies have their data just spread out all over the place. You've got neat, structured data in one corner, and then a bunch of messy, unstructured files in another. They're all living in these separate digital silos, kind of like puzzle pieces that have been dumped on a table, but nobody's put them together yet.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If you can't connect all those pieces, you can never, ever see the full picture. So how in the world do we bridge all those gaps and actually make some sense out of the chaos?
Well, this is where the big data fabric comes in. And the name, it really says it all. It's this framework that acts like a master weaver, stitching together all of those disconnected data sources. It doesn't physically move everything into one giant messy box. Instead, it creates this unified virtual layer on top, letting you see everything at once, right where it is.
Now, to really get a feel for how this works, we're going to walk through a really simple, practical example. We're going to build our own little big data fabric using some real-world data and a super powerful team of cloud services from Amazon Web Services. So the star player for this whole explainer is a data set of house sales from Seattle. It's pretty straightforward stuff. Prices, number of bedrooms, square footage, the kind of data that's packed with valuable insights if, and it's a big if, we can just figure out how to unlock them. And here is our expert team, our crew for the job. We're going to use AWS S3 as our massive storage warehouse. Then we've got AWS Glue, who's going to be our meticulous librarian, cataloging everything perfectly. Amazon Athena is our lightning-fast search engine for asking questions. And finally, Amazon QuickSight is our data artist, who's going to turn all the answers into these beautiful, clear visuals. Okay, first things first, we have to get our data into the system. This stage is called ingestion, and it's literally the foundation for everything else that's going to happen. So here's how it works. Our Seattle house sales data first gets uploaded into our S3 storage warehouse. Simple enough. Then we unleash our librarian, AWS Glue. Specifically, we run this tool called a crawler, which automatically scans all the data, figures out its structure, and then creates this neat little entry for it in a central catalog. And the real magic word here is automation. You don't have to go in and manually define every column and data type. The Glue crawler does all that heavy lifting for you. It's just like a librarian who automatically catalogs every single new book that arrives at the library. Awesome. Our data is now all neatly cataloged. But, a card catalog isn't very useful unless you can actually go and read the books. So the next step is making all this information searchable by building what's called a data mart. This is where our search engine, Amazon Athena, comes into play. We literally just connect Athena to the data catalog that Glue just made. And just like that, with a couple of clicks, poof, our raw data becomes this organized, searchable resource ready for us to ask it anything we can think of. So what's so powerful about this is that Athena lets you query the data directly where it lives, right there in the S3 warehouse. There's no complicated, time-consuming process of moving data around. You just point it to the catalog and start asking questions using standard SQL. It is incredibly efficient. All right, so we've stored the data, we've cataloged it, and we've made it searchable. Now for the most rewarding part, turning that data into actual, understandable insights. This is the payoff. So we bring in our data artist, Amazon QuickSight. This is the tool that plugs right into our Athena search engine and just transforms the results, all those raw numbers and text, into a compelling visual story that pretty much anyone can understand at a glance. All right, our whole system is live. Let's ask our first question. It's a simple one, but it's a great test. So, based on our data set, what's the most common number of bedrooms for a house in Seattle? And boom, here's our answer. The biggest slice of the pie is for 3-bedroom houses. That's followed by 4-bedroom and then 2-bedroom homes. Instantly, we have a really clear picture of what the housing market looks like there. Okay, that was a good warm-up. Let's ask a more sophisticated question, one that gets right to the heart of real estate value. Is there a connection between the size of a house, its living area, and its sale price? Our data artist, QuickSight, starts analyzing the relationship between these two data points across thousands and thousands of sales, and the pattern it finds is just unmistakable. As the square footage of the living area goes up, so does the price, a clear positive correlation. Now you might be thinking, well,
Duh, of course bigger houses cost more. And you're right, but proving the obvious is step one. The real power is what comes next. Now we can ask, which neighborhoods have the highest price per square foot? Does a waterfront view add more value than an extra bedroom? We've gone from a raw file to asking these deep, actionable questions in just minutes. That is the power of a data fabric. So let's just pull back for a second and look at the entire journey we just took and what it really means for making smarter, data-driven decisions. It really just boils down to this simple three-step flow. We ingested and cataloged the data with our librarian, Glue. We organized it so we could ask it questions with our search engine, Athena. And then we created a clear story with our data artist, QuickSight. And honestly, we've just scratched the surface here. From this same foundation, you could easily plug in machine learning models to start predicting future sale prices, or use something called a graph database to explore these hidden, complex relationships between properties and neighborhoods and buyers. So the key takeaway here is this. By building this simple data fabric, we've created an incredibly powerful platform. It's a foundation for endless exploration and for answering much, much more complex questions down the road. And that leaves us with a final thought, really. This kind of technology unlocks the ability to ask questions you probably never thought you could answer before. So take a moment and think. If you could connect all of your scattered information and ask it absolutely anything, what would be the first question you'd ask?